All right, Class A, we are going to be taking your notes over ser today. First, let's start with, what do you know about ser? Well, you already know that it means to be. And you know that there's another verb that means to be. So to differentiate between the two, we have been saying that ser is to be permanent and that the other verb, which is estar, is to be temporary. But you will soon be finding out that we need to know much more than that. But it's good enough for now. It's good enough for a start. So you also know how to conjugate ser, and you know that it's totally irregular. Soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. No accent on sois because it's only a four-letter, vosotros. So copy this down and then move along with me to our reasons to use ser. All right, so anytime in this video where I write something down in this gray color, don't write it down. I just have it there to represent things and to have something to discuss. So you might be looking at the screen right now and asking yourself, what's going on here? Well, let me tell you. There are going to be 6 main reasons to use ser that we're going to be dealing with. And if you put them together like this, they spell poem with 2 P's, because the word poem doesn't usually have 2 P's, and a T. That's my little trick to help people remember it and to talk about it. It's not my best trick ever. I've definitely thought of better study tips and tricks, but it's good enough for this. I know it's not catchy, but it'll do. All right, so let's go ahead and start writing down what all of these letters stand for, and we're also going to be writing down some example sentences that we will translate together in class. All right, so here we go. We're back into darker colors, so you need to write down reasons to use ser. And our first reason is for permanent characteristics or relatively permanent characteristics. So if we want to discuss relatively permanent characteristics like someone's physical description, personality traits, or their profession, we're going to be using ser. So please write down permanent characteristics, relatively, and then below that, physical descriptions, and below that, this example sentence, you are redheaded, skip a line for the English translation that we'll fill in together in class. Personality traits are another relatively permanent characteristic. Our example sentence is, she is stingy. Skip that line for the English translation, and then write down profession, because that's another relatively permanent characteristic that we use ser with, and our example sentence is, I am a teacher. And then it looks like here you need to skip 2 blank lines for additional information in our notes. So that's what the first P in poem with 2 P's and a T stands for. Let's keep going and find out what the next P is for. The next P for poem with 2 P's and a T is for possession. Anytime you want to say something like, they are Hunter's pencils, or they are his, or they are his pencils, you will use ser. And it looks like we need 3 blank lines after this example sentence. And possession is something we're talking about in this unit, so it's very handy to know that we use ser for it. So that's what the first 2 P's are for. Let's find out what the O is for. Well, the O in poem with 2 P's and a T is for origin and nationality. So if I want to say something like our example sentence, we, all girls, are from Valpo, we are Cuban, I would use ser to say from Valpo for origin, and Cuban, I would use ser for the R part because it's nationality. Moving on with poem with 2 P's and a T, we need to know what the E stands for. Well, the E stands for an event. When and where. And our example sentence to discuss that is, the game is in the gym and it is at 6. So skip a line after that, and we're moving right along to find out what the M in poem with 2 P's and a T is for. The M is for discussing material or what something is made of. Like in this example sentence, the desks are of plastic, or the desks are made of plastic. And last but not least, in poem with 2 P's and a T, is time. T is for time. So please write down these 3 examples, and you can set it up like my notes are, where I've got the English on the left and we'll put the Spanish on the right instead of one above the other. So if you want to ask what time is it and say it is 1 or it is any time 2 through 12, you will use ser. Because, just to sum it up, Our reasons to use ser, you don't have to rewrite this, you've already got it in your notes, are relatively permanent characteristics like physical descriptions, personality traits, and profession. Anytime you want to discuss who owns something, as in possession, anyone's origin or nationality, anytime you're saying when and where an event is, or you're saying what something is made of, or time, you will be using ser. So, knowing that, back to your notes, we need to add some example sentences. So here are our 5 example sentences, and I bet you've guessed it, you're going to skip at least 3 blank lines between each one. So you're going to skip at least 3 totally blank lines between each one. And then we will talk about how to translate them in class. These sentences are a really great review because they have possessives, they have vocab, and they have forms of ser that we're going to be using from our poem with 2 P's and a T. So those are the reasons to use ser, and we will next unit be talking about the reasons to use estar. And soon you will be able to, anytime you say is or are, ask yourself, do I need to use ser or estar? Good job taking your ser notes. I will see you in class and we will translate them together as a group, unless you want to go ahead and give them a try now if you're feeling especially ambitious. Ciao!